to another edition of Q&A with CNA in Western Stark County. My name is Dan Mucci, and I'm the Mission Advancement Director for Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health. And I am the host of this segment of this program, highlighting the services and programs that our agency offers to the residents of Western Stark County. The agency is pleased to partner with WHS-TV on this segment. On today's edition, we are going to meet Mary Kreitz. Among Mary's many responsibilities at Child and Adolescent Behavioral Health, she is the training director, the lead trauma specialist, and a member of the multidisciplinary team at the Children's Network of Stark County. So welcome to the show, Mary, and we can't wait to learn a little bit more about all of your job titles.
Fantastic. What would you like to know?
Well, first off, with all of our guests, we like to know a little bit about their background, where they grew up, where they went to college, how they came to CNA, kind of like your career background. Okay,
well, I grew up in Akron, still live there. I went to college at the University of Akron and came to CNA as an intern in 2002, so almost 22 years ago. And really, it was just such a great fit, doing the kind of work that is just really fulfilling, and I love doing it. So I started campaigning to say, hey, you could hire me. I'll stick around and be full-time.
And we did, and we're thrilled that we did. So you mentioned that you started as an intern. What was the internship in? And then kind of explain some of the roles you've had within the agency.
Well, I started out as a psychology intern. That's a year-long internship program. And I was very interested in the time at working with early childhood, so the youngest kids, the little ones. And that was still a very new developing part of the field at the time, and so the agency was interested in having people that could work with those little kids, and that worked out really well for me. So over the years, I've done outpatient services, I've done home-based services, I've done school-based services, both in Alliance and in Canton. And then for 7 years, I worked in the day treatment program, working with the youngest classroom there, so the kindergarten through third graders. And then I headed our group department for a while. And then now I am doing the trauma work and the training.
So you've pretty much done everything in the agency.
I haven't been a psychiatrist yet.
Well, there's still time to do that if that's on your bucket list. So let's get started a little bit. You mentioned you're the agency's training director. Tell our viewers a little bit about that role and what your responsibilities are with that. Okay,
so as training director, there are a couple of different things that come in. One is that I help to make sure that our staff are trained in whatever the latest developments in the field are. And we have a number of different disciplines at the agency, so I also try to make sure that all of them are keeping whatever requirements they need to keep their credentials. And then whatever is new or needs to be refreshed to make sure that we're doing our jobs as effectively and efficiently as we can. Then I also do a lot of things in the local community. So sometimes there is a topic that a group is interested in knowing more about, especially things like trauma or behavior management, things like that that might be relevant. And so I sometimes go around and talk to different places about those types of things and share some of the information that I know of that could be helpful for people.
Nice. So for our viewers, you are also the lead trauma specialist. So describe for our viewers what trauma is first, and also trauma is different for each person. So kind of give some insights into that as well.
Okay, so trauma it's a really complex thing. So there's different parts of it. The first part is that there has been an event. There's been some awful thing that has happened. And then the second part of it is that the way that the person experienced it. So sometimes two people can go through the same awful experience, and one person saw it as, this was a bad day, but I'm able to move on, and the other person experienced it as, my life was in danger or someone I cared about was in danger and I'm not able to move on. So it's the way you personally experience it. And that can be influenced by details of what happened, and maybe it affected me more, maybe I was injured more severely, maybe I was, because of things that have happened in my past, it was affecting me differently. And then the last part is the ongoing effects of it. So if it's a bad experience and I can just write it off and say that was a bad day, or that was a bad part of my day, that's not really a trauma then. But if I'm having lasting effects from it, so that I'm afraid all the time, or I'm having nightmares about it, or thoughts about it keep coming into my mind even when I don't want them to, and I'm trying to concentrate on other things, then those are effects of trauma. And when you have that accumulation of the bad event, the experience of it, and then the lingering effects, that's trauma.
Okay. Well, that gives everybody a pretty good basis and understanding, foundation, we'll say. So what specific age groups do you work with trauma? Are you working with all the kids from like 4 to 18, or is it more a specific age range?
Currently, I work with every age. I have some very young clients, and I have some clients that are 18 and 19 years old. So I'll work with anybody, because now I tend to focus more on specifically working with those kids who've been through trauma and helping them to process it and deal with it and sort of reconstitute their life after it, because it often feels like your life is a very different experience after you've been through trauma.
Okay. So I also understand that you're a member of the crisis response teams in Stark County. So what does that involve? What kinds of situations might this team respond to? And then what role do you play in responding to a crisis situation?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways this could play out. There is a formal team called the Crisis Intervention Stress Management Team, the CISM team. And sometimes when something has happened in the community, they will contact the crisis center and ask for people to come out to talk about what has happened. And just a typical example of that is that sometimes something might happen like at a factory, and a worker there gets injured. And their coworkers might have seen it, might care about that person. Maybe they're just having a lot of feelings about it, and so we might come out to have a few people available to talk about what has happened, talk about ways to cope. Sometimes rumors or things start to fly when something bad happens, and so a lot of what we do is helping to communicate very clearly about what has happened, about what resources are available, and about, again, what people can do to cope and take care of each other during that crisis situation. So that's the formal CISM team. There's also sometimes where a crisis might happen, maybe at a school. Sometimes something will happen, a car accident and a student is killed, something like that. Very often they'll reach out and ask for assistance, and you hear about things on the news where they say, well, counselors will be available. And sometimes we already have a relationship with the school because we have a lot of school-based counselors already, and so sometimes we'll be asked to come in that way. Sometimes we don't have a relationship with the school, but they need the assistance, and so we're going to help out anyway. And so when that happens, what we do is we come in. Usually we set up a location that's convenient to the students there, maybe the library or something like that, and we set up little stations where we can talk with the students or the staff and faculty, and talk about, like, again, what are they experiencing? How are they reacting to what has happened? Again, you want to address any kind of rumors or misinformation that might be going around, making sure that people are are getting the accurate information, getting the resources that they might need, and really just helping them to heal both individually and as a community, because sometimes people need to come together in a crisis and have that feeling of fellowship, that other people are there for you and that you're part of something bigger. So we try to help them figure out ways to do that. And sometimes we'll also sort of behind the scenes talk with the principal or the counselors there to make sure that any ongoing needs are being taken care of. And we're always assessing, because sometimes it's not the person that seems to be the closest maybe to the person who died, but someone who is struggling because maybe they've had other experiences going on in their life and this is just kind of the last straw. And so we're always, looking for those people to make sure that we can connect them with some help so that they don't have to struggle through it alone and that they can get whatever assistance they're going to need.
Thank you. You also work at the Children's Network, which we mentioned earlier. I'm not as familiar with the Children's Network, so this will be great information for me as well, but tell our viewers a little bit about that organization and what work they do.
Okay, well, the Children's Network is Stark County's Child Advocacy Center. So that means that when there is an allegation of child sexual abuse or severe physical abuse, and there's an investigation going on, the Children's Network is a sort of central hub where they can coordinate that investigation. So they might have the forensic interviewers from CPS come in to talk with them about what happened and what did they experience. Law enforcement might be there, but they don't have to re-interview them. They can watch that interview over a closed-circuit television. They have nurses and nurse practitioners from the Akron Children's Hospital located in that same suite of offices, so they can get a physical checkup if there's any injuries or illnesses that they're dealing with, or if they need to be checked to see, like, are there bruises, or even if there needs to be some sort of a rape kit or something done, then they can take care of that there. Most children do not need any kind of invasive type of exam, but you can check to make sure, do they have a cough and they need some medication, or do they have some bumps and bruises that need to be tended to? They can make sure that they're getting the care that they need. And then the part where I come in is that we can also connect them with mental health services if they need some ongoing counseling or even just some brief trauma counseling. We can help to connect them to those services if that's appropriate. And really, the network tries to bring together a lot of different disciplines to make sure that the family and the child are getting whatever they need to get them through what's no doubt a very difficult time for them.
So we've talked about all the difficult times the children have, all your kind of challenging clients. How do you work to stay mentally fit? Because I'm sure at the end of the day, sometimes you're just drained and...
It can be. Honestly, though, sometimes the fact that what we do is so important, we're making it possible for kids to get resources and help that's going to make their lives better. And it's very often we're teaching them skills that they're going to have for the rest of their life. And that is rewarding.
Right.
That is a good feeling that, in a small way, we're making the world a better place for this kid. Mm-hmm. And that's a great thing. So keeping that perspective actually really helps. But then there's, every person's got to find their things that are their passion and make sure that they're doing that. So like, I love theater, so I go up to Cleveland and see all the Broadway shows, the traveling touring companies that come through. I love to travel, so every once in a while I'll put together a trip and go either to visit friends or see some place I've never seen before. Sometimes it's just small things. I love to just take an evening and read and enjoy a good book, and it gives you a chance to escape from all the stuff, all the heaviness. Strangely, I like to read a good murder mystery if somebody doesn't die by page 5. Come on. But you know, it's just a nice, fun way to kind of restore and get your energy recharged.
Which is all great advice for our viewers as well. Anything that we missed before we kind of wrap up?
Nothing I can think of. Thanks.
Thank you again for coming out and all the extraordinary work you're doing for the kids of Stark County and the clients at CNA. So, for more information on the services that CNA provides, you can visit our website, childandadolescent.org, or you can call 330-433-6075. This wraps up another segment of Q&A with CNA in Stark County. We appreciate Mary Kreitz for stopping by today. And of course, we always appreciate our partnership with WHS-TV. Until the next time, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to more interesting topics.